Hello and welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Thelma Okoro. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has struck out all 4 cases instituted before it over the November 21st governorship election in Kogi State. Justice Gabriel Kolawole, who delivered judgment on the consolidated 4 cases, said the federal high court had no jurisdiction to entertain all the relief sought by the various parties. Among the suits denied judgment on Friday is the suit filed by the incumbent governor of Kogi State, Idris Wada, against the All Progressives Congress and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The court in its judgment held that only the Election Petition Tribunal had the jurisdiction to hear the cases before it. The judge also affirmed that INEC has the power to conduct a supplementary election scheduled to hold on Saturday, December 5th. The other suits were filed by Johnson Usman, Emmanuel Daiku, and Emmanuel Igbokwe, who all asked the court to rule that a fresh governorship election be conducted in the state. The office of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Dekina local government area of Kogi State has been set ablaze by unknown persons. Media reports say the office was burnt with some materials to be used for Saturday's supplementary governorship election in the area. That the Dakina is among the places where the supplementary election, a 91 polling unit, is scheduled to hold. The resident electoral commissioner in Kogi State, Halilu Pai, confirmed the incident, but added that the incident suspected to have occurred at 2 a.m. would not affect the election. He said the burnt election materials would be placed by INEC, and INEC had relocated to a temporary office in the area. With less than 24 hours till elections in Bayelsa and Kogi State are set to hold, the Nigerian Police Force has placed an order restricting movements within the boundaries of both states. The movement restriction will take effect from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday, December 5th. The force said the restriction was part of strategies designed to prevent electoral fraud and violence and ensure a hitch-free governorship election in Bayelsa and supplementary election in Kogi State scheduled for Saturday. In a statement by the spokesperson for the police, Olabisi Kolawole, the Inspector General of Police Force, Solomon Arase, who approved the restriction, said persons on essential duties such as an ambulance service providers, officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission on duty, security men, accredited election monitors, observers, and accredited journalists, among others, were not affected by the order. The Nigerian Senate has vowed to clamp down on social media operators accused of peddling false information on public office holders. It says appropriate measures will be used to curb their excesses. This follows a point of order raised by Senator Dino Malaye of the Kogi West on the methods used by some media operators in the country. According to him, some online platforms have been writing false stories with the aim of undermining the Senate. His submission was referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions and 2 others for further actions. This comes a day after senators considered a bill that seeks to prohibit frivolous petitions.
Of palliative measures. These particular Sahara reporters and others have the capacity to drag democracy into crisis because they have become very reckless. They make laborious statements that have no content or fact at all. And because we are Nigerians, perception is very important. While I celebrate the social media as one of their major actors, this Senate should not be blackmailed, cowed by operators of the social media.
It is not only Sahara reporters. You have today the privilege in this country or elsewhere where people just wake up one time because of the development and the advancement in ICT to set up social media and start writing all sorts of things without holding them responsible. The Freedom of Information and the Cybercrime Act that we passed, these 2 laws need to be looked into with the view to addressing these abuses.
I have been a journalist all my life, and the major and important tenet of that profession is that you must be fair to all concerned. But on this issue, nobody is fair to anybody. In fact, I've read stories about myself that I had asked people whose stories were written, because I never participated in anything that was reported. Because of that, Mr. President, I exited the Facebook, I exited all sorts of, all the social media. I left WhatsApp, I left everything, because they used it as a medium to castigate everyone that was in politics and anyone that is always in a ruling party. It was our turn the last time, and now it is the turn of the people on this other side.
Following reports that the Nigerian Senate is planning to censor use of social media, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has sent an urgent appeal to David Koyi of the UN Special Rapporteur on the promotion and protection of the right of freedom and opinion of expression. SERAP asked the UN through the Office of Koyi to urgently request the National Assembly of Nigeria, specifically the Senate, to withdraw a bill which, if passed into law, would undermine the internationally recognized right to freedom of expression and press freedom on the internet in the country. In the urgent appeal signed by SERAP Executive Director Adetokunbo Mumuni, he asked the UN to publicly express concerns about the proposed bill and insist that the National Assembly of Nigeria should withdraw the bill. It also asked and called on the UN to urge the National Assembly, in particular the Senate, to protect freedom of expression online in line with international standards. The Minister of Interior, retired Lieutenant General Abdulrahman Dambazo, has expressed deep concern over the alarming rate of prison congestion in the country and has urged the Nigerian police force to exude high level of professionalism in arresting the development. He advised the force to be rather thorough and exhaustive in their investigations, as this would help reduce to the barest minimum the number of persons awaiting trial in the prisons. He further encouraged the police force to live above board in all of its dealings, while also noting that such would help encourage and change the corrupt perception the public has about the police force.
Within the criminal justice system, we have a very serious issue that has been bothering us, that is prison congestion. And for me, the police has a major role to play in the congestion of the prisons. Why do I say so? The reasons are simple. One, for every allegation against an accused, the most important part of it is the investigation. Where you don't have detailed and almost perfect investigation, then it becomes very, very difficult to prosecute. And why it becomes very difficult to prosecute, then you have more people in the prisons awaiting trials. So I think it's very, very important we have that at the back of our minds. So much has been said about public perception. And those perceptions the public has on the police borders on that the police is corrupt, that the police is inefficient, that the police is brutal. Every time you pick a paper, you read about something negative about the police. And I think it's very, very important, despite what the leadership of the police is doing, and I must acknowledge that it's doing very well, but we must do a lot to change the perception.
Your professional experience, international engagements, and deep understanding of the internal security architecture and criminal justice system and actors will undoubtedly remain invaluable assets to not just yourself as you settle into the ministry, but also to me as head of the Nigerian Police Force. The impact of this is that your appointment as the Minister of Interior places you in a familiar terrain, as you are a natural choice that can provide the needed policy guidance that will help actualize our noble vision for the Nigerian Police Force. In this regard, I'm trusting in your continuous support and motivation permit me to affirm my firm determination to transform the Nigerian police force to a more police-friendly police, bearing in mind the change agenda of Mr. President.
Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari is currently in South Africa for the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. President Buhari joined other leaders on Friday morning for the opening of the forum. He will also meet with business leaders from China and Africa. The president is also expected to hold bilateral talks with President Xi Jinping of China. President Xi told African presidents on Friday at the summit that his country would provide $60 billion over a 3-year period to fund development on the continent. Despite its own slowing economy, China would step up investment in factories manufacturing goods for export in Africa, in addition to building roads, ports and railways on a continent long seen as a major commodity source for China. Governors of Nigeria's 19 northern states say they have taken security measures to ensure that Wednesday's violence that included burning of places of worship in the commercial city of Onitsha in Anambra State does not spread to the northern part of the country. Speaking on behalf of the 19 governors, Borno State Governor and Chairman of the Northern States Governors Forum, Kashim Shettima, said the governors, particularly those of major cities, were in touch with one another on Wednesday and had taken some firm measures aimed at averting any spillover. A 3-week-long pro-Biafra protest turned bloody on Wednesday, resulting in the killing of some, with many injured in Onitsha, the commercial city of Anambra State. The protesters were pressing for the release of detained director of Radio Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Stakeholders and concerned Nigerians have appealed for a review of the status of total inclusion of persons with disabilities in Nigeria, with special regard to access to improved health facilities. Addressing journalists in Abuja in commemoration of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, the Executive Director, Disabilities Rights Advocacy Center, Irene Patrick, observed that persons with disabilities suffer continued exclusion and discrimination in all sectors of life and the development agenda.
We are advocating for inclusion and accessible healthcare for women and girls with disabilities in the healthcare sector, and we're also working with our other partners to advocate for increased funding for the healthcare sector, and we hope that when there's increased funding, there will be more resources allocated to the upgrade of health facilities, to employment of personnel like sign language interpreters and all of that, who would make healthcare more accessible to women and girls with disabilities. We are constantly advocating to governments to make the environment more accessible. We do have building codes that are very clear on access. They cover, there's something called universal design, and Nigeria has building codes that are in conformity with universal design. The problem is the implementation of those codes. The approval of building codes needs to change. The people who are putting up structures need to go through the proper process so that when they put up structures, those structures are accessible to everybody, not just persons with disabilities, but including persons with disabilities. So the problem we have is not a problem of lack of the laws or the policies, it's a problem of implementing those laws and policies, especially with regard to access to physical structures.
The principle of social inclusion, if you want to see it clearly, is that make everybody, irrespective of their level of ability or disability, to be as natural as possible, that they are able to do anything naturally without having any psychological regrets or any social regret. That is it. You have no right to exclude somebody who can't walk from games. We have seen Paralympics, and we've seen a lot of things that they have done a lot of things. You have no right to exclude people who are blind from scientific events or something. We have seen two partially blind people have won Nobel laureate. And out of all the people that have won Nobel laureate, if all the statistics we have is anything to go by, any cluster of people, you expect 1 out of every 5. 1 out of every 5 Nigerians is disabled, one way or the other. Don't think it is somebody who uses crutches or somebody who uses braille is disabled. So the degree of impairment is also disability.
We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll look at business and international stories. Please don't go away.
Soyinka Award for investigative reporting is 10. Join us as we take you back to where it all started. The Musan Center, Onikon, Lagos, on Wednesday, 9th December 2015 from 5 p.m. prompt. To celebrate this milestone, the keynote speech will be delivered by Professor Wole Soyinka and awards presented to the Investigative Journalist of the Year. Winners from the print, radio, photo, television, online and editorial cartoon categories. Honorary awards include Lifetime Award for Journalistic Excellence and Anti-Corruption Defender of the Year Award. Save the date, Wednesday, 9th December, 5 p.m. Musan Center. Visit www.wscij.org or call 0908-251-5179 for details. Investigative reporting is the vital force for the restoration of human dignity.
Welcome back. You're watching TV360 News now. Nigerian authorities have reduced a fine on South Africa's MTN Group by 25% to $3.9 billion, MTN said on Friday, going back on a decision to slash the fine by more than a third. MTN was handed a $5.2 billion penalty in October for failing to disconnect users with unregistered SIM cards, prompting 5 weeks of pleas from Africa's biggest mobile phone company that led to the fine being cut by 35% to $3.4 billion on Thursday. But a day later, MTN issued a statement saying the NCC had sent it a second letter in which it said the fine had actually been reduced by 25% to 780 billion naira and not by 35% to 674 billion naira. NCC has also given MTN until the end of the year to pay the fine. Crude oil prices rose in volatile trade on Friday as OPEC ministers looked unlikely to take steps to cut oil production to lift declining prices at a meeting on Friday. This potentially worsens one of the worst crude gluts in history. Brent crude was up last 29 cents at $44.13 a barrel, while U.S. crude futures were up at 28 cents at $41.36 a barrel. As the meeting, which held in Vienna, prepared to start, Iran's oil minister said OPEC would stick with a policy of maintaining output unchecked in line with market expectations. OPEC's poorer countries have been piling pressure on its wealthier members, led by Saudi Arabia, to curb supply. Now, days after one of the deadliest mass shootings in the United States, authorities are still left wondering what motivated the couple to kill dozens of people at a holiday luncheon in San Bernardino in California. 14 people died and 21 were injured in the attack, which took place on Wednesday. The man and woman, 28-year-old Said Rizwan Farouk and 27-year-old Tashfin Malik, were killed in an exchange of fire with police officials. The victims in the assault have now been named and identified by the police force. Officials say part of the motive may have been Farouk's apparent radicalization and part of it may have stemmed from workplace tensions, but so far nothing concrete has been proven. The Attorney General of the United States, Loretta Lynch, has indicted 16 more FIFA officials as the corruption scandal currently ravaging the World Football Governing Body continues to widen. She disclosed this in a press conference where she accused the officials of embezzling funds meant for disaster relief and development projects. The FIFA officials who were arrested on Thursday include all current and former members of CONCACAF and COMBO, including the president of the Brazilian Football Federation, Del Nero, and his predecessor, Ricardo Teixeira. According to Lynch, the investigations uncovered around £132 million worth of bribes and kickbacks. FIFA has been embroiled in a corruption scandal since the governing body decided to hand the hosting rights of the 2018 and 2022 World Cups to Russia and Qatar, respectively. The European Club Association has sent out a warning to the member nations of the World Football Governing Body FIFA over its plans to expand the number of teams competing in the World Cup from 32 to 40. FIFA on Thursday issued a detailed details of its proposed reform process, one of which is the proposed expansion of its marquee competition, the World Cup, from 32 to 40 countries. Such a move, though, would represent a significant increase of some 32 extra matches in the group stage, adding another week to the tournament, which is currently 31 days in the length, and taking the total number of matches to 96. In a statement on Friday, however, the ECA warned that it was not prepared to be further ignored in the changes FIFA are proposing to the World Cup. The ECA claims that there was no consultation over the issue, which would impact heavily on its members who supply the majority of players to the showpiece tournament. Well, we've come to the end of news now. We thank you very much for joining us. I am Thelma Okoro.